as everybody comes on. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we have come down to the place just right, we will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn, 'twill be our delight, till by turning and turning we come round right. One last time. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we have come down to the place just right, we will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn, 'twill be our delight, till by turning and turning we come round right.
Why did you pick that song?
We're turning, and it's such a fun song to think about in the words. You know, it's all about being able to come back to that place of being with the wheel. The turning, we will come round right.
And the simplicity.
It is.
The beginner's mind, the letting go of the whole wheel inside us that keeps everything spinning.
It's kind of connected to our other one, because there's this whole sense of pleasure that can come when you finally let go and you surrender. To bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. And so as we give up, surrender, go with the turning, the wheel, well, then you never know what's going to happen. So for today, I'll do a little, we'll do a screen share as we, I don't have the goddess chant, but we can easily, I think, repeat it after one another. Lots of stuff on my desktop, but I wanted to put up these guys.
It's not true simplicity on your desktop, is it?
It is not true simplicity.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that other card?
I'll tell you later. So let's just do the goddess chant. If you don't remember, we'll do one line and then the other. So, everything lost is found again in a new form, in a new way.
Everything lost is found again in a new form, in a new way.
Everything hurt is healed again in a new time, in a new day.
Everything hurt is healed again in a new time, in a new day.
Change is, touch is.
Change is, touch is.
Touch is, change is.
Touch is, change is.
Change us, touch us.
Change us, touch us.
Touch us, change us.
Touch us, change us. Change us, touch us, touch us, change us, change us, touch us, change us. Breathing in these cards for a moment, I came back to the Shark Falak, the Wheel of Fortune here, and alongside of Juan Marcos's card that he created just recently over the past year, and he was going through a lot of treatment for cancer. He did all of the major arcana. He really went into the imaginal realms and expressed it through his tarot.
And so why did I put it up there? Because today I really want to focus a little bit on the experience of order, which is a part of the wheel. It's not just chaos, which I think a lot of people kind of think, if I give in to the turn, if I let the turn happen, it's like
Like I know from the whirling dervish learning the turn, everybody gets very afraid. They're going to get nauseous or get dizzy, lose this sense of center. And really, the turn is really about finding your center. The whole thing of the wheel, if you remember the beginning of the poem, it says that, how does it start? We came whirling out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust. The stars formed a circle. There's already order being created. And in the middle, we dance. We are that focal point, that figure of, you remember in a merry-go-round how all the horses or all of the rides are going around this extra little point, and then there's the big one that is actually creating the whole merry-go-round to go around. But we each have our little points, that we're holding onto when we're on that merry-go-round. And that's what we're doing inside of ourselves. And I loved Juan Marcos's because it spoke to the order of the universe and how there's every planet is turning around the sun or around some huge field. It is not just haphazard what orbit it creates. So our orbit is also so important, is to find our own center line.
Yeah, and as the neuroscience geek, when we're on the merry-go-round, it's so beautiful because there's our own little default mode network, all our impressions, all our parts and cells, do this, do that. They're not really turning and communing with high self as conscious self. And then there's that universal pole in the middle of that larger thing that we can tune into. Wow, yeah. And that's Juan Marcos's on the left.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different from his other cards. It's amazing.
Yes. So stop the share. When we, so what we're going to do is we're going to focus a bit today on finding that center line. So hopefully you have a sense of what you circle around. We spoke about that last time, whether it's the feelings of shame, which is worthlessness, there's something wrong with me.
I'm broken,
I've done it wrong again. Or whether it's, and we can circle around all these at different times. There's also the fear and the fear of the world, and there's something's going to go wrong, a dread. Or there's also the I have to be in control. I got to do it my way because otherwise everything's going to fall apart. So I got to hold on tight, as Rumi says in the poem. The wheel of heaven circles God like a mill. If you grab a spoke, it will tear your hand off. So there's that sense of like, okay, we have to come back into that center line again. So in many traditions, the idea of having a center line is considered holy will, letting the will of the universe come through you. And you can see how this connects totally to the card, which is to the sense of the wheel. Because if you have this center line, which is often seen as a silver or platinum rod going in the body. And so when we experience that very deep core of resonance with the universe, it's like our own pole, but this pole is aligned with the greater whole. So we want to know and be able to hold the pieces of us that are out. I think of it as like creating a little bit more chaos, making it harder to turn. It's like in the turn, if you've got your one arm and it's flailing out here, it makes it so hard to actually get around in a circle. You can try it. It's really amazing. Or if you have anything that's like not really in alignment, you will, if it's going backwards a little bit, or it's like everything has to be in that orbit, that circular, going forward. So we're going to play with that in our movement today a little bit more.
In the movement induction.
Yes. And I don't think there was anything else I wanted to say. Let me just look. I wrote a bunch of things down. No, I think that's about it. So what I'd like to do is find that place where we're going to play a little bit with balance, because that's what it feels like when we have our core, when we have we're connected into the center. So find your feet about right shoulder length apart, and begin to let yourself, you can put your hands on your hara, which is right down from your belly button. And breathe in deeply, in through the nose and out through the nose. And as you breathe in, letting that all the energies of the universe come into your hara. And as you breathe out, just relaxing a little bit into the earth. Feeling a little bit of that weightedness, that heaviness. To actually surrender to being here now. You can intend or ask all of your body to just start to let the weight come down through the bones, through the muscles on that exhale, through your feet, into the earth. One more deep, rich, full breath, letting our weightedness come down. And the next breath, when we breathe in, we're going to move our right foot. So we're going to bring ourselves over the line of our left foot. And just feel what that feels like for a breath. Let's just do that. We'll breathe in. Feel what that feels like to be on the left foot. And for the next breath, when we breathe in, we're going to move it just 1/4. So, and we're moving it in a way, and we're going to take another breath from that place. And then we move it another 1/4.
So we're moving the right foot while the left stays in your post.
And right at the end of the inhale is a great time to pick up the foot and let it move. We just feel that post of our left leg as we do this. There shouldn't be a lot of weight even on the right foot. It's just going around with us. And coming round right whenever you come back to that center place. And by the way, you can always open your eyes when you're doing this so as not to get dizzy. Just letting your knees bend and stretch a little bit so that you can really feel those muscles and bones. And come all the way down to your feet and let them come into the earth again. Letting the weight of the earth come down. And coming back to your hara area. And this time we're going to bring our legs together. And we're going to work a little bit with balance and what it feels like to be balanced again on that left. We're going to alternate between the left and right sides. And we're going to do the water breath. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And while we're doing this, it's probably best to open your eyes because it's much harder to balance when your eyes are closed. If you want to try it, you can, but what I'm asking is that you breathe in, breathing everything into that hara, all the energy, and then you really let yourself feel what it feels like to just be standing on your left foot. And you can lift up to have your toe just be touching the floor, so it has a little balance. And then this next time you breathe, see if you can now let your ankle move around and around on that exhale.
So I'm on my left foot and my right.
You're on your left foot. Your right foot is slowly turning. And then you breathe in again. You can let it turn the other way. And then put it down on the floor and feel the weight of it. Come and now let your left foot point just a little bit off the floor, but just kind of using it as an anchor until you're ready. And then you breathe in and turn the left ankle one way. And another breath to turn the other way. And then putting down that left foot, and again bringing the right foot up. And this time we're going to move around our knee on the exhale. So letting the lower part of our leg move one way. And then the other way on the next breath. And putting down the right leg and letting the left foot come up. And we're going to do the same thing with the left knee. And the other way. And one more time, changing legs, left foot, right foot up a little bit, but left foot down. And this time we're going to let ourselves feel into the hip and let the hip move. So we're going to let the leg be a little bit bigger on that exhale. And we can do it both ways. Then putting the right leg down and doing the same thing with the left. All the way up into the hip socket. Letting both legs come down, breathing in, breathing out, shaking out the lower half of the body. So no tension begins to get into that, and now beginning to let yourself widen your stance again and let the exhale go into the hips. Letting them turn. Both ways. And turning from the back to the front with just your left hip. Begin to feel that, how the left hip can be more the motivator to turn from the back to the front on that exhale. Letting the exhale even help to move it. And as we do that, we're going to actually, it's the opposite. I always get this wrong. So we're going to go the opposite way now with that left hip. We're going to bring it towards the back and let it come up the middle and go back down on the left side. So imagine that left hip, it's turning towards the left. And as we do that, we're going to move our foot in that same way as we were doing before. We can hold our hara, and on the exhale,
Which foot?
we're going to move our right foot in a quarter turn.
Ooh.
So just mostly left. So watch, feel what it feels like. So it's almost all done. Just your hip is helping you turn. It's finding that center. Remember, the hip is coming around into the back. And when it comes to the back, you lift your foot. And it becomes almost effortless. If you can find that rhythm, that way in which your whole turning is happening now on that left side.
Oh, I love it. After all these years, you've come up with a new movement pattern that's stretching my brain. Maybe you can all feel all your parts going, what is this? It's like, oh, just surrender. It's amazing.
Take your time. It doesn't have to be fast. Just feel that rhythm and that sense of orbiting your left leg. Your right leg just has to lift up and place itself. And then coming back to center whenever you get there. And letting, again, your bottom half of your body just move however it feels good. Making sure we're going to spend some time with the shoulders so they don't get really overly wrought. So on that exhale, we're going to really let the shoulders move one way and another way.
If your inner judge gets activated, you just say, however I'm doing it is good enough for me.
That's right. We're just experimenting with how to get the body to help us to turn. And so then we're going to let the exhale come into our hands and our elbows. And lastly, into our neck and heads. And if any of you want to try it, you can use your rest of your body to help you to go around in that four-step piece again, quarter turns, left leg. And you can use your hip to the left, and you can use your left shoulder going back at the same time. And you can even let your head do a gentle movement. And as you get that whole left-sided piece happening, then let your right foot just come off the floor on that exhale. And whenever you're ready, you can come around to right again. And just let all of your body feel that flexibility it has to be able to turn, to be able to go in that wheel. And let's just use that left leg again. And now we're just going to turn around on every exhale, and then we'll stop. We don't have to do quarter turns. You're just going to let yourself turn. And then stop on the inhale. Regather. Just make sure your left foot is, or your right foot isn't too far out, so the whole thing becomes very easy. Ooh, and if you don't want to do that, just walk around in a circle, but let yourself keep circling. Even if you can't spin on the left foot, just let your whole legs turn in a circle. And start letting yourself express a sound on that exhale as you do it. On every inhale, you're stopping. So you should never get dizzy. Coming back to your center line. You don't have to, coming back to no movement again, just breathing in and breathing out. The water breath. Breathing in through the perineum, feeling the energy coming up. You can do from the soles of your feet or the perineum or both. Comes all the way up into the heart, and it goes back out through the crown chakra. So just feel this as you breathe in. Big, rich, full, deep breaths. If it helps you to move your body with this, or to feel a movement that feels connected in to breathing in to your heart, and then breathing out from the heart all the way up to the crown. And imagine everything is whirling by you. You're in the center line. And one more breath. And imagine whirling to your seat, finding that chair as it works to do that. We're all in the whirl again. And then we're going to plant ourselves down and do exactly what we were doing standing up, only now we're going to do it sitting down. So we're going to bring the energy in through the soles of our feet, in the perineum, up to our heart, and all the way out for the exhale through the crown chakra. And our intention is to find our center, to know our center, experience it, be in it so we can hold all the parts that might be a bit in chaos or not quite circling correctly.
So just continue with a nice rich full inhalation, a nice rich full exhalation. And actually, when you do the practice of the turn, it said if you're in your belly, too much in your body with what's happening in it and the aches and pains, and then you get nauseous. If you're in your mind and all the thoughts and worries and mental formations and lost circling around all that worries, then you get dizzy. But it's so important to be in your heart. That's what we want to circle. So just bringing your awareness, your loving attention, your chest soft and porous as you breathe in and out of the sacred space of your heart. And you can feel that's where conscious self is. That's where our center is. Actually, the heart center or chakra, there are 3 chakras below and 3 above. So it's another center. It's the meeting of heaven and earth. So just breathing in and out of the sacred space of your heart today. And while you do that, if there are any parts that are busy, just reminding them nothing to do, nowhere to go right now. Any aches and pains in the body you want to circle around, that's fine. They can be there. The thoughts can be there. But we just bring our loving attention to our center, to the heart. And while you do that, listen to these few words. The sun world dissolving. Bathing in moonlight. Dreaming while awake. And really opening today to the sacred space of your heart. Whether you just feel the presence, you feel that field of your heart, or imagine that, or whether it's a safe place you've been to before in your life, or a place of beauty, of love. Just seeing what's in your heart today to circle, to orient around. Because no matter what happens in the outer world, we can always come into the sacred place, the garden, the table of holy wisdom, some place of refuge, of beauty, of harmony, of love. Some place you may have read about or been in a dream or actually experienced. You can just open to that whenever in your inner life, in your inner world, when there's too much in the outer world that activates too much in your inner world, all the different parts and cells. But just for a moment, just breathing in and out of your heart in whatever shape or form, to whatever sense it is today. And especially anything that feels good, that feels pleasurable, whether they're fragrances or tastes or sights or sounds or just this felt sense. And other things can be happening. Other selves can be lost in thoughts or worries or managing things, or there can be in the body self aches and pains. That's fine. But what would it be like to not circle around them? And that's the possibility of conscious self, to always come back into the hub, into the center, into the heart. But oftentimes it's so hard for conscious self to just keep that hub by conscious self. So that's where, with love and gratitude, we open to high self, our beloved, our inner guide, the wise being, in whatever shape, form, and whatever sense high self comes through. And that helps conscious self begin to circle around high self. And we can invite all the other selves to do that, or they can just be there doing their things. But our focus and attention is now circling. We're in our heart, welcoming in high self with each breath. Beloved high self, we invite you, we open to you for a time of communion, a time of guidance, a time of dialogue, exploring this growing relationship between you and us. And as you breathe in the love and blessings from high self. And as you breathe out, just breathe out love and blessings. Let this relationship deepen through your intention to commune with high self. Again, being aware, the mind doesn't need to be blank, the body doesn't need to be in perfect shape. Different selves can be circling around those things. That's fine. But bring conscious self to really circle to be present with communing with high self. Those other things can be going on, that's fine. But the awareness, the main attention goes to high self and you. You might be like me, I can feel oneself. The common one is a tension in my head with some of the words. It's fine, but I keep just saying, you can step aside. I'm going to just circle around high self right now. And beloved high self, and that's a practice in itself to just keep coming back to high self as the other selves or bodily things pull you away. Again, not trying to get rid of them. We're not rejecting. We can get to every self inside and get to know and love and treat each with love and respect. But they can float through and around in the background. Like I'm looking at the sun or the moon, and there are all the clouds and everything, but I'm orienting to that. And perhaps it's like I'm on the earth and Gaia is high self. And there are all these clouds and all this activity, but I can feel the solidity underneath me. I can sit on the earth and really center in high self. And beloved high self, any information or guidance on how to continue to center around you, to bring you into the center of our life as everything swirls and moves around. We open for your guidance. And it could be as simple as just sense into your heart. And any guidance on how to work, and we'll come to one of the selves that has a hard time, one of the selves that we circle around. But first, high self, any information or guidance on not only how to circle around you, but how to help these selves that pull so strongly for our attention in this very, challenging world, whether on a personal or collective level. Any general information or any information at any particular self that pulls us into its orbit on how to approach, how to help heal, how to bring that self into relationship. And it could be as simple as come into me, be with me, and together the guidance will flow through us. And then just really allowing yourself to move into this breath of unity, to sync your breath with high self as you breathe in and out of your heart. And then take a moment to really notice, either whether in your life or whether in the soul work, because you've been doing it since we started meeting today, there's some self, some part that's really calling for attention, and like on that merry-go-round is saying, no, center around me. Let that self know you and high self are going to now give that loving awareness and attention. Because especially as children, we always needed to be the center of attention. We needed that loving attention, and let this part know, oh, this is natural. I'm going to give you some attention now. And so just taking a moment to open to inviting this one into the sacred space of your heart. Just open to however you experience this one. Perhaps you know the thoughts of this one and the beliefs. You can just listen to that. Or perhaps you really feel this one in your body as some cluster of sensations, like the tight one in my head that I mentioned earlier. Or perhaps an image, a visual image comes aside from the body image or the thought images. And what does this one do? Does this one want to collapse or run or figure things out, or just sort of noticing what action this one wants to take? And now really opening to how you feel towards this one. And remember, if it's anything other than love or respect or curiosity or compassion, it's some other self that you're circling around a little bit and inviting that self to just step aside, because right now you're circling with high self around this one you've called into your heart. And letting this one know that you and high self are giving it attention or centering around it right now, and just open to whatever this one wishes to share, whether it's through memories or sensations or feelings or thoughts, letting it know you're really here, paying attention. That attention you paid is circling around it for right now, for these few minutes. You might ask if it has a name or a way it wishes to be known or called. And you can't hear it, but there's a train coming in the background, and we know some of these ones are like this train that come and demand attention for a little while. They can get so loud. So let this one know you're right here, right now, giving it attention. Sometimes it desperately wants attention when it toots its horn. Make sure this one's aware of you and high self, that you're really here to help. You might open and just ask, how can I help you? How can high self and I help you? can't fix things in the outer world, but how can we help you from inside? Or maybe there's some simple actions we can do together, but how can we help you with your struggles and challenges? Let this just be like a waking dream, being in relationship with this one, using my voice as a guide, letting it unfold this relationship between you and this one. It's a challenging time. Letting this one know you can come back and visit and form an ongoing relationship if this one is open to that. And invite this one to just drop into this breath with you, with high self. You as conscious self, center in high self. You invite this one to come center in you and high self, being held lovingly in your heart. And then just call in all circle of all the selves, all your inner family. Just let them all be in that circle around you, around high self. You two are in that pillar. They're all circling around other things like in that merry-go-round, but just feel for a moment, let them know you're here at the center with high self. There is a center. And that from this place you can give each one attention and love. And let them know as you continue in your soul work, over time you can come and visit each. But for right now you're just holding them all, just noticing each. And you can feel like in the beautiful movement Yaya led us through, sometimes we wobble. We're in conscious self and we wobble out. It's not that these selves aren't there, but can we find that ground, that post in our hearts with high self to stay in the center as we move out to each of these selves from the place of the hub, the center of this wheel. As you breathe in and out of your heart, we'll just, as we breathe to our inner life, we'll make the sacred sound Hu, and we'll come up and do that again to our outer world, coming back in our own time, refreshed and alert, aware of our inner and outer worlds. And then in the waking dream of your soul work, take a moment to just reflect on your journey, your soul work for this morning. You can write or make an image or stretch or just reflect inside, but it's like a dream in sleep or a waking dream. It's good to reflect on it for a moment. You can stay in meditation, or if you wish, you can unmute and share if there's something you want to share, because we all learn from each other as we're each in our own hub and circling around what each of us have to share. It can be so hard when someone shares or someone in our life, we can lose ourselves in them rather than staying in there and opening. So you're there in relationship in this beautiful mutuality. Or you can just type something in the chat and the keen sighted Yahya Ali will read your note. Eagle eyes.
Monovision.
It's even sort of fun to open to the whole, if you have this on gallery view, and see, can you keep your be in your heart in your center while you're aware? Or are there selves that come and say, or I have to go into myself, or whatever? Just noticing. How's it to really be in your being and to open to our beautiful little gathering here? Mhm.
And the piece I forgot to say, I knew there was one,
Mm.
is that when Rumi speaks in the poem about all the different circlings that we do, about the atom and the beggars and the dogs and the lover, and also, as he says, I circle shame, he says a ruined water wheel. So that's what the feeling of it is when we are in this more chaos and we can't find the center, right? A ruined water wheel. So it feels like the water's going every which way. The wheel's not turning evenly. And then he says, he offers the hope. Every which way I turn is the river. So it's that sense of that no matter what, there's the flow again. You can come back into the flow. That to me is what the wheel, it represents a very specific kind of flow, but it's really that the flow that once we enter the flow of the breath, of a movement, of our inner heartbeat, whatever it is, we're back.
And even if you just have that intent, the whole universe is flowing like the river, and we're each flowing whether we're aware of it or not. It's very much like Zen. If you sit with the intent, whatever happens, you're in the flow, even if you're really not aware of it. It's just, yeah, yeah.
But you have to turn to look for it.
Every which way
I turn is the river.
That little effort to just, yeah. Yes.
Nuri Kalbi.
Mute. You're muted.
Muted. Cannot hear you. We can't hear you.
If you can't unmute, you can put it in the chat box.
Hold on. I'm responsible for that. Hold on.
She's responsible. Oh, someone's responsible.
I'm actually responsible for this.
Now it should work.
Yeah, host wouldn't let me unmute. Yeah, I missed last time, but watched it last night, and I would say my turning around is this part of me that worries and wants to fix the problem. So sometimes it's trying to do too much, and sometimes it's too worried. And the center today, the high self centering in a good place, was this beautiful place that we went hiking, and there was this hilltop in the trees where there was an opening that was just all moss. And I laid down on this soft, comforting moss, and I felt Mother Earth just totally supporting me, and I felt the sky above and the grove of trees around me just total oneness with nature. And I think that's the place where I can, quote unquote, fix that worrying part of me, is the nature connection, as well as the flow of the river, all of those nature connections, and the elemental breaths for balance and centering. And then, of course, the circle of love, which in that case was the trees, but in our circle or other circles of Sufis and others, the healing of the love.
And I also have an association. A long, long time ago, I was having a session with one of my Diamond Heart teachers at Esalen, and that moss came in my heart, and it touched very deep the realm of the emerald and of compassion, right? So it feels like that moss is a very profound image. I mean, we could do a whole one on moss as an archetypal image too.
Mhm.
But there's something about that that goes very deep. So stay open to it, to bringing that moss in, to lying on it. But there's something very powerful there. And
Robin Wall Ketterer just wrote a whole book on moss. You know, she's
Oh,
the one who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass. Well, she just
yeah.
yeah,
wrote one on, I'm, I'm pretty sure it's
Wow.
moss.
wow,
So,
yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Who else would like to share or rest in the silence? Karen, are you? Or Sushila or Karen? Sushila.
So I caught up with the class and my circling part, I think I circle around, or the doer circles around me. So the doer, planner, always, the duty calls or what needs to be fixed, all those things. So um, looking at how to support with uh, what how can I balance it so that I'm also receiving rest and it's pleasurable just to do nothing, to just be. And so today, let's see what I had today. It's learning to trust more in the divine timing of it all, and whatever I turn to focus on while staying in my heart and joy.
Hmm.
So the line, every which way I turn is the river, every which way is joy if I go with that intention. Because there's so many projects, so many things to need to be done in this world. But it gets to the point where I want to not do damage to my own body and mind and stuff. So that rest and the trust.
hmm.
It's so beautiful. I thought about doer and then do tea, doer tea.
Oh,
I'm going to call it
Do
doer tea instead of do
do
from now on. You're into the doer tea.
good.
honey.
Is it duty or doer tea? Thank you so much. Hmm. Oh, I still have 3 minutes. Ooh.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mudita.
First, I'd like to say, Malik, thank you for sending out the link to us. That's always so nice and so well put together. I I circle around my soul of freedom. Just want to be free of it all. Any of the anxiety, the doing, and just do everything as it needs to be done, but not thinking about it ahead of time. And a couple of maybe last week, maybe I told you, I don't know, I had this dream, so it's kind of this theme. First I saw two Tibetan monks walking, and then there were two more Tibetan monks, two more, and I'm like, this is a procession, who's this coming? And it was this holiness, and I asked him a question, but the answer he gave me wasn't like the answer to the question. I knew that in the dream. I don't remember my question, and what he said is, lighten the mind. So it's
Light.
been a
Could you repeat that? Light.
Lighten the mind.
lighten the mind.
Ah,
Ah,
So I'm really looking at that, the mind, the mind, the
yeah.
brain, the mind, the body, body, heart and soul, body, So it's like it's all there for us to take care of. And the more we can relax into just daily life and each moment, I think there is more light and the mind is lightened.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our duties and obligations, and how do we manage life without feeling overburdened by what we have to accomplish and take care of? So it's my thing right now is how do I lighten the mind?
And how beautiful. You could see in the dream that such a powerful high self comes in the form of Dalai Lama. And I'm just staying with the play, light in the mind and lighten the mind. So there are two things to hold there. And I think that's our inquiry. And there's a little bit of the thread that, I forget, it was Sushila New.
Sushila.
Yeah, you were talking about all that too. It's a little bit of a theme, and I can feel that when it gets so busy. And but the precious thing from SoulWork is not to reject those parts, but how do I meet those parts that are burdened and worried, and how do I help them so they lighten naturally?
And I really, it's like, because I have that. It's a big one for me of what I circle. Um, for me, if I can breathe in the middle of it, that to me is coming back to center. It's not trying to, it's not even, the burden isn't even there. Who's believing it's a burden? I mean, that's where all of those things are really curious, because that's a whole nother thing of circling around the idea that what we're doing is a burden. That's something to be investigated. But that it's like when I'm in a duty or something, a responsibility, I just come back to my breath. I come back to center. It's not, that to me is what lightens the moment, because I'm no longer immersed in the ideas around what this doing is.
And so interesting for me, what I got today was to really come into the heart with the breath for me
Yeah.
as a mind type. And I think there was in, I think one of the mind science conferences with the Dalai Lama, they talked about afflictive emotions. And there's research that if the difficulties in the body or the body self, if you go to the mind, like in sitting practice, that's helpful. But if you're lost in the mind, going to something like the body, the cross one is helpful. So for me as a mind type, to come into the heart or the belly center are really helpful. And for you, it's very much a heart center. The breath is so, which there's a little of mind awareness in breath. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
subtle, but yeah. Thank you so much.
So you
Yeah.
have to find that way that you come to center.
Yeah.
But it can
It's
be
an
in
ongoing
every moment.
process.
Every which way is the river. So, but you have to also
yeah.
be curious about it. How do I get there? How do I see it?
All right. Well, we're going
All
to
right.
lighten and go off into our days, and we'll say to close, we'll do a Yanur to just bring light into all our.
And everybody can if you'd like to just
Everybody can unmute. Yanur means the all-pervading life. It's sort of like the light that comes out of the quantum vacuum, the space light of the cosmos.
Yeah.
Yanur. All right. Thank you all so much. See you here, there, and everywhere.